heard of that.
You've heard of it.
I was backing you up on I backed you up on Diet Coke and lemon.
Yeah, and what'd you learn, Jacob?
To shut the fuck up.
We learned how vanilla Jacob is. He's not kinky enough to follow Jim where I go.
Apparently.
You're not welcome at the clubs I frequent, my man. You stop at the door.
Done.
Can't handle what I do.
Made possible by our therapy partners, Dirty B, Myra, and Pickett. This is Pod Therapy. Welcome to fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. Broadcasting from the churn, that's Whitney, and I'm Whitney. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
You're going to notice that we had to fire Whitney. The sexual harassment was getting out of control. And
we're not going to stop, damn it.
As owners of this company,
you meant her.
Yeah, the other way around. As owners of the company, you know, a fellow employee who is anonymous. We have an anonymous reporting system, and a colleague of Whitney's reported feeling uncomfortable. So
actually,
we have
been talking about it is time to do her annual evaluation.
It is time. Well, it was until we. Well, no,
we should just do it now. She's probably listening.
I think that she's not. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that we'll be lucky if she remembers this show when she gets back from. Wherever she is.
Even a better reason to do her
now's
annual
the time,
evaluation.
Because we're pussies.
Yeah.
Now's the time to like really be honest, and then just hope to God she never listens to this episode.
All right, let's do it.
I'm scared of her. I'm too scared. Oh, there it is. Whitney. I feel like she's in the room, guys.
Okay, well, let's start with something positive.
Oh, yeah. We'll do the compliment sandwich. You have
big points of progress. What would you say are the greatest strengths? Let's start with strengths.
Yeah. You know what? Charming. I think that people would describe her as very charming. Yeah. Affable, I would go so far as to say. Compliment sandwich, number 2, she's kind of a bitch, to be honest with you. Really an insufferable bitch. But you know what, number 3? What a nice laugh.
There you go, Whitney.
Review complete. All right, we canned Whitney's ass. She's gone from the show. She'll never come back. We have got some great questions.
She'll be back next week.
Or next week. I don't know what's going on around here. We got some great questions, and this first one, oh man, she's going to be sad that she missed this. This is a really good question. Finding a therapist as a therapist from M. Hey, Pod Therapy crew. I've so appreciated your advice and insight the few times I have written in. So I thought it was worth a shot to see your take on my current predicament I feel stuck in. I'm an undergrad. I attempted to seek therapy twice for extreme anxiety and some depression. Once at a community college and once at the large D1 school I attended for my bachelor's. Both times were wildly unsuccessful. It didn't last long. Post-graduation, things were really not going well, and I found a wonderful MFT intern. She helped a lot. I went from a lost, aimless, anxious, miserable person with massive attachment and dating issues, undiagnosed ADHD, family struggles, etc., yes, an absolute mess, to getting engaged, becoming a homeowner, and generally heading on the right path, thanks to her. During this time of roughly 4 or 5 years, she went from finishing her practicum to becoming fully licensed and a supervisor. I started a clinical mental health counseling graduate program, graduated school with a 4.0, started a counselor education and supervision doctoral program, and became a licensed clinician as well. I'm beyond thankful for the work we did together. However, this productive therapeutic relationship ended when she stepped over the line of values imposition one too many times. When I pointed out her solution would not work for me for XYZ reasons, she persisted that her path was the only way things would get better. For reference, her way included celery juice and something that appeared to me to be cult-like. So I decided it was time we parted ways. Nearly 6 months later, with good insurance thanks to my husband and a new set of presenting concerns, I sought out potential new clinicians. One way I did this was via an anonymous Facebook post with the criteria I needed in a local therapist group set up for this purpose. I felt good that this would help lead me to the ideal clinician, until one comment popped up from a familiar face explaining why she was the ideal fit. The therapist who commented had previously been an acquaintance through my best friend. At one of my best friend's get-togethers, this other therapist thought it would be funny to roofie me.
What?
This story took a fucking turn, boys.
Yeah, it did.
Damn, we just got off-roaded on this one. One moment I was standing in my friend's kitchen, and the next
Let it be said, my cackle was one of surprise.
That was genuine shock.
It was a surprised cackle.
One moment I was standing in my friend's kitchen, and the next I was at my parents' house in my old bed. It was terrifying.
Oh, that's trippy.
She also gave my best friend water with MDMA without her consent, all because she thought it would be funny. These, among other things, led to my best friend kicking her out of her life. While this lady didn't know it was me due to posting anonymously on the Facebook group, when I saw her comment on my post, it made me sick to even remember that she is a practicing clinician and caused me to stop my search for a new therapist. Damn. Now, 6 months later, I could really use some support as I head into the dissertation internship phase of my doctoral program. I'm starting to have my own supervisees and interns, and generally finding new pieces of my own work that need to be done. While I know how to technically find a therapist, I understand licensing, theoretical orientations, insurance, and all that, I'm finding it impossible to identify potential clinicians which I even feel comfortable reaching out to based on my history. I've asked others in my practice as well as friends, and none of their recommendations are good fits. I would love to hear all of your perspectives on this, as well as advice on how to proceed. Thanks, M. On Discord, I am Tonka Truck the Pony, and my pronouns are she and her.
I'll tell you one thing this explains to me.
Holy shit.
Okay.
This explains something to me completely that happened to me today.
You got roofied?
And that it, well, okay, it explains two things to me that happened to me today.
Oh, why I'm here.
Yeah. I heard an advertisement, an advertisement, if you will, today.
Yes. Yeah, the classic.
It was on the. I was listening to a little sports radio. It was on the sports radio on the Sirius XM, whatever channel it was. And
sponsor the show, Sirius XM,
right?
Whatever channel you are.
And it was like a 20-second, 30-second, somewhere in that area long ad.
Uh-huh.
The first, I would say 2/3 to 3/4 of this ad did not mention what the ad was for.
Oh, wow.
And that's why it caught my attention. I was like, what the fuck is this? Because it was literally like the whole ad. I'll paraphrase the ad. I'm not quoting.
I need to know.
What would you do if you had more time on your hands? Would you take up a new hobby? Would you get something done around the house? Would you go on a vacation? Would you spend more time with loved ones? Just kept listing off things that you could do with more time on your hands.
And then it's going to be some twist like Hanes underwear feels like you should
get your time back.
It's so much worse than you think.
It's MLM, BMLM.
It goes, do you even know what you would do with that time? We here at Better Health can help you decide what you want to do with your extra time.
Better
we can help you decide what's important to you in life.
We'll get you through it.
And you know what? It's this kind of shit that makes people terrified of therapists. And now Better Health has to advertise by listing off things that you could do, trying to overwhelm you with different ideas of things you could do, and then be like, we can help you narrow this list down.
BetterHelp is the roofies of online therapists.
Yeah, fine.
I think that's where we're going with that. Damn.
It was such an odd ad, though.
I know.
I was like, I mean, I honestly don't have an opinion much of anything about Better Health.
Oh, I do. It's
I know
BetterHelp,
you do.
by the way.
Whatever it
in
is.
case you're wondering.
Great. But
go with Better Health, so we're not sued.
Oh, good call. Yeah. Actually, it is Better Health. That's what we're talking about.
Unless there's also a company called Better Health.
Wetter Health. Let's do that.
All I'm doing is commenting on the oddity of this ad.
That's right. Yeah.
And now I'm starting to understand a little bit about why this ad has to exist.
I have heard other ads from them. Very similar. And I've had the same thing. I haven't heard that one. It hasn't been like that crazy. But there's been a few of them on podcasts. They advertise a lot on podcasts.
A few, Jesus.
And just some really strange ones that are just like, oh, that's weird. That's a weird way to describe
I always cringe when it's a podcast that I enjoy and then it's a host-read ad and it's for BetterHelp. And it always really hurts me because I'm like, oh, but I liked you and this makes me unhappy. And it affects the way I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
So, I think we're going to talk about BetterHelp today.
I mean, it does. Yeah.
It's been 6 years.
Unfortunate that
today's the day
that happens.
Today is the day.
But hey, if you're kind of in that boat too, where like you're not really sure what to do, you're kind of feeling like you need to find a therapist, but you're having some difficulty. AG1 is a great.
AG1's never
product.
steered us wrong. They stopped paying us though. We should probably not keep plugging them.
I still have supplies at home.
We did get free shit. Yeah, and that's honestly how you win our hearts. We don't need the money.
No.
Like, just send us like Dunkin' Donuts to sponsor the show. I
Ask
tried to
them
get
pop
that
on my shit
bourbon
every now and
company
then.
to sponsor us, so they just send us a bottle. I'd be plugging them all year.
Yeah.
But they don't choose to.
So this one, so obviously,
Tiger Steak was a good sponsor for Ice Cream Social.
That's a solid.
yeah.
That's
They
such
were
a
great.
good move.
That was good. We don't always read these before we read them on the air, and this is
occasionally cackle in surprise.
a good example of that because wow,
see
that
that
took a
coming.
turn. I did not see that coming at all. So here's something to kind of think about. Like, I don't know, this obviously wasn't in her role as a therapist.
No.
In which she did this.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like a board could intervene, but this
It's a
seems
crime.
like-
It's just a crime.
Yeah, I mean, it's just-
you don't need a board. You can just file charges.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, it's going to be the he said, she said thing, but sure. I would love to go get I would go take myself to the ER and get tested, and it would be turn up that it's roofies, and I would have that, reported, and then I would eventually figure out the rest. And then I would
Obviously
just
nothing-
allege. I would allege she did it.
Nothing Tonka can do about this now.
No,
at that point.
Now we're trying
Right.
to find a therapist, but damn,
Wow,
man,
holy
that is,
shit, that's fucking crazy.
You'd think
No,
you
but I
could
guess
hang out
here's the
with
thing.
therapists and not get roofied. You'd think that.
I've given up on that.
Yeah, that's really your mistake here, Em.
When you hang out, with this crew,
Yeah. That's the pregame. That's what we do in the parking lot, so we don't have to remember this shit show.
wow,
Life coaches will never drug you.
That's true.
I'm just thinking
As long
like
as you pay extra.
We're very honorable.
like with
Breaks our code of
this
ethics.
person is still practicing and still has other patients and will have new patients moving
horrific.
forward, and that does
And is the
that
one that
worrisome.
jumps in there. But no, I mean, okay, so Em, a couple of things here. I feel for you on several different levels. One, I am, oh boy, okay. Quick disclaimer to the general audience. You've known us for a long time, hopefully. You know that we are always championing getting help, getting out there, talking to therapists. We don't talk a lot of shit about our field for the most part. Not on this part. We do it on Patreon. I do it on Patreon. I'm fuck done. But we don't generally do it because we're trying to evangelize for mental health. And
You won't anymore.
I know, yeah. After I get shit on, I get eaten alive. Oh, that's a whole
Jacob,
other
did you hear
thing.
about that?
Oh,
No.
Jesus
Oh.
Christ. Yeah,
Yeah.
detour. Go for it. That's
Jim,
relevant.
Jim decided to express his opinions on the internet, and the internet responded.
It took 1 hour, and I was in tears. Like, fucking done. I was quitting everything.
What was this on? What did you do?
Reddit.
I put it on Reddit. I got wrecked.
Jim might be the only person I know that consistently remembers that Reddit exists.
Oh, God. Yeah, I got ripped to shreds.
What did
So-
you put on there?
I did that. I've been doing this thing that I've been writing for a long time. It's like the 7 sins of psychotherapy.
Uh-huh.
It's like 7 things the field does wrong.
Great.
And so I wrote these little scripts. I taped little YouTube videos with a little PowerPoint, and then I put it on the therapist thread of Reddit, and seismically got my asshole ripped by no less than 1,000 therapists, just ripping me down until they banned the post and banned me from Reddit.
Yeah.
So now I have a burner account that I now have to use to go back.
What was the main thing they took issue with?
Well, I was
Because that is
suggesting
quite a
roofing
reaction.
people at parties and, MDMA in their waters. They just called me a fascist, basically, and basically said terrible things.
But what was the main part of your post that they took issue with?
Well, there were 7 different things that I said. And
Pick
so,
the one that they hated the most.
Man, it's hard to pick just one because
So
it was
here's
bad.
here's kind of the problem.
It was
Okay,
really
so
bad.
he's been putting together this series, and it's been his Monday deep dive.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, for a long period.
7
and
periods.
You know how Jim records something.
Yeah.
My deep dives, digestible.
Yeah.
Okay.
20 to 30 minutes tops.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Jim does
Let's
not do
pretend
that.
like I know that's the truth.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
never actually heard a Patreon, but go on.
We talked about it.
We've mentioned this.
Jim, one of us did a 6-hour deep dive on ADHD.
Yeah.
It was
Which is still just
Enough
the
said.
cruelest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
I didn't think about that at the time. All right. You killed that in one sentence, and I realized, oh, fuck.
So
was a very bad idea.
He's got 7 of them, and they're each probably an hour long.
Hour and a half.
Hour to an hour and a half long.
Great.
Okay. So you put it on the internet. If you, number one, he put it on Reddit and linked it to, hey, if you want to hear more about this, go to my YouTube, which is a big no on Reddit.
They don't like
that.
You're
not supposed
driving
to do that,
traffic to YouTube.
I see.
Yeah. So that was
I got eaten up for that.
That was strike number 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The second part too
That's your fault.
is obviously.
That is my fault.
And the second part is the internet's fault.
Yeah,
this is the world's fault, which is that you can't put something that large out on the internet and expect people
to take the time.
Yeah. No, they're going to look at the title and they're going to say, "You're a fucking idiot."
In my defense, the videos are less than 10 minutes apiece. So,
what?
Yeah, the original audios that I created, that's Patreon. So I just in those I talk about I'm still drafting in that phase, and I was sharing with the Patreon audience the drafts. So the final product are 7, usually 6-minute videos. I think one of them's 10 on the 7 topics, and they have like a little PowerPoint that's going behind me as I'm going through my script. So they're very quick, very digestible, very punchy. But didn't matter. They put their entire fist inside of me.
Well, never mind. I was
moved
defending
me
you,
like a
but
Muppet.
I think
It was bad.
I'm out. I tried.
Yeah.
Yep, you did.
I did my best.
That was my fault. Anyway, so the internet's a shithole. But no, like, Em, I really relate to you, I think, for several reasons. So anyway, but to the general audience, I'm going to shit on the profession for a second. Don't let that discourage you from getting help. Go get help wherever you get help. And if you're already working with BetterHelp, great. I don't care. They have good therapists. They have bad therapists. All agencies do. They're just a very, very big agency. So they have a lot of everything. So check that out. But anyway, all right. It is hard to find a good therapist when you are a therapist, as I'm sure it's hard in a lot of professions when you are that profession and then you go to other places. If you're a really good Italian chef, it's probably really hard when you're in the mood to go to a nice Italian place to feel happy with wherever you go. I'm sure that's hard. And it's hard with this too. I mean, obviously, Em had a crazy ass experience with somebody just fucking giving you drugs. But honestly, as crazy as that shit sounds, it's not that far from a lot of the people that are in our field right now, because there's a lot of people that are like spiritualizing narcotics, and they're like they are certifiable Duck Dynasty quackers. No, but there's a shit ton of them that are like helping you black market, get
That's my new favorite.
shrooms, LSD. It's getting fucking weird.
Okay, yes. But they don't do it without you knowing.
Oh, no. M's situation's different. Yeah.
But like, so I do want to point that out.
I have a cousin who is in this field that you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's using I don't even remember what
LSD,
it is.
ayahuasca,
psilocybin.
I think it's psilocybin.
Yeah.
And it's all intravenous.
Oh,
and
ketamine. Yeah.
It's not ketamine.
Okay.
I think I remember if it was ketamine. But I don't remember what it is exactly. But anyway, it's like trips with
the person
the
in the room.
functional MRI going and scanning the brain as like at the same time.
Well, that's pretty high tech.
And this is a legit thing that they're doing.
That's a very big deal.
And they are using it to try to rebuild pathways in the brain.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
See, there's
and then they flush everything with saline at the end of it, and the trip is just over.
Oh, they can just stop
So
it.
they can control it because it's all intravenous.
That's really interesting.
So like they do all of it.
So like, okay, there's a problem in the field that the field in this is just, okay, we're going in a lot of directions here. We're going to quickly do it. One problem in the field is that the field has gotten so excited about the narcotic shit that they've gotten ahead of the science. Like, let the scientists at the cutting edge of this medicine,
like, let these motherfuckers do this with like the functional MRI and everything.
Yeah, if they're in the lab working on how they can reduce cocaine to a pill form and get it just right so that it doesn't kill you but it helps, that's their job. But whenever you start reading the headlines, it's like, lab results say cocaine could help. And you're like, great, go get my guy on Craigslist, score some coke, bring it to therapy.
Don't use that guy.
Don't use that guy. Jacob's got a guy.
I got a guy.
If you're getting your coke, you go to a life coach.
Yeah.
All right. They have a code. It's the Coke code.
Yeah.
If there's one thing Jacob made clear during the Patreon,
enter the code Bolivia.
He can win with the Pepsi challenge. He's a proud Coke.
Yeah.
But no, so like this, what M's experiencing with that therapist who like had access to drugs and thought these only are good. I am meeting more and more therapists that have this opinion. Obviously, this person was a pretty out in left field, but it's not so many degrees separated from what I'm seeing.
I mean, I'd be pissed if somebody gave me like a weed infused brownie or something,
right,
and didn't tell me about it.
Of course, and
it doesn't matter like what I do in my spare time. Of course, I don't want you handing me something that I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's deception. So, like, in this case, for M to be suspicious of the field and say, okay, I'm scared I'm going to find therapists that are, like, spiritualizing narcotics or pushing them on me, or her own long-term therapist who's, like, all into, like, celery and juice and, like, getting into this weird, like, you're going to nutrition your way out of mental illness or whatever. That, by the way, was one of the sins that I was bitching about in the thing that has now been banned from the fucking internet. Was this cult-like bullshit where
if you wanted to read about that on Reddit, tough shit. You have to come here.
You got to come to this place.
Pod Therapy.
Or YouTube and just type in Sin City Shrink. But, yeah, so, like...
Pod Therapy.
Pod Therapy.
Patreon.com. This thing.
No, hold on. There's a clear wall of separation between Jim's personal life and this podcast.
Pod Therapy has not been banned from Reddit. We're widely celebrated
Here's
on
the
Reddit.
thing. Okay, I just want to touch... I'm going to go back to Reddit for just a second.
Oh, Jesus.
I will
eventually get to your
great
question.
feedback.
We're coming.
Don't leave. This is something that like became very obvious to me.
Yes.
You are the firstborn child in your family.
I am.
I'm the second.
Yes.
And that makes a difference.
Okay. Can you get Adlarian on me? Go.
Because you jump out and you do shit like this.
Yeah.
And I just sit back and watch.
Yeah.
Because that's the second child.
Yeah.
The second child.
You got hit by a car. Don't do that.
Okay. I'm not going to do that now. It's kind of this like the early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese.
That's right. That's a great metaphor.
It is. Yeah.
I like that.
No.
Anyway, that is exactly what happened.
Just me. Just now.
Yeah.
Yep. That's mine.
But I got my head chopped off.
They stole it from Nick Tangeman.
Exactly.
I got my head chopped off because this thread, which is all therapists, were furious that I was saying things like what you're saying in your letter, that I was saying, hey, there's a lot of kind of culty bullshit, and we're better than that. That's not what we're licensed to do. This is not okay. And there's a lot of like weird drug pushing now that we're way out of scope with and we shouldn't be fucking with. And yet you guys are just doing this and sometimes hooking up your patients with like black market shrooms and shit. This is way beyond what you should be doing. So I can understand where M lacks faith in the field. And I get it. And, we talk about, BetterHelp, which M didn't talk about, but, we heard a commercial for. This is, unfortunately, in therapist circles and on the bigger internet, like Reddit, is itself like a punchline at this point. We all talk about BetterHelp.
No, you're fine.
Oh, okay.
My microphone is doing something weird. The people didn't hear it.
You shouldn't rub your balls on it like that. That's probably...
Yeah. Well, I don't know what that was doing.
They're your mics. I guess I shouldn't tell you what to do with your damn mics.
Yeah. Put my balls on what I want.
That's true. My mic too. I mean, fuck, that's all yours. But no, like BetterHelp, unfortunately is... Look, I'm going to be honest with you. It's the target of a lot of scrutiny right now in the field because they are owned by just a capital firm, just a venture cap, that showed up and said, hey, there's a problem. There's not enough mental health people. So we're just going to flood the market and everybody wants to work telehealth. And so we're just going to find any therapist that will do this. There's like no quality assurance checks. And it attracts a lot of therapists that, frankly, no therapist can survive working for BetterHelp. You don't get paid enough. So it attracts kind of folks that are willing to just take whatever. Your father's dick has been in me. There's that too. And so it's been a struggling enterprise because more and more people are like, wow, they only seem to be willing to help on really easy things. If you come in with like depression, they're like, whoops, sorry, it's too heavy for us. And they're just, the quality is very low. And so, and the prices are, kind of high. Like you could just go out and get a private practice therapist for what they're charging. And again, if you're out there and you're using it, great, go for it. BetterHelp, you want to give us a pile of money to sponsor the show, go for it. We'll take your stupid money. But, this is where I can understand what M's going for.
In my mouth.
So I think it was a year ago. Where were we in March? Yeah, it was, I think about a year ago, a little over a year ago. I was going through some personal stuff and I was in M's position where I was like, you know what? I need to sit down and do some work on my life. I got some things that I want to work through. It's time for me to get back in the saddle. So I went on a hunt to find a therapist and I found it to be extremely difficult. In part because if you're looking where you work, like Nevada is not a very big state. We don't have a lot of folks. So that's a problem already of like, okay, there's a percentage of people that I'm seeing that I either know or I'm not far enough removed from that I would feel comfortable seeing them. Either maybe I don't know them personally, but I know somebody that does, and that's too close in the degrees of separation. So that took a bunch off the plate for me. Then I was scanning through a bunch of others, and a significant percentage of them were just saying things that were very wooey, or things that I was looking at going, I don't feel comfortable working with you because I don't trust what's going to happen here. I don't trust your perspectives. I don't think you're rooted in professionalism. So at some point I got discouraged and I said, you know what? I'm going to go to BetterHelp. BetterHelp is just one-stop shop. I'm going to get in there. I'm just going to throw the dice, and I am unlikely to know any of the people on BetterHelp. And so that's kind of what I'm looking for right now is I'm very likely to not know that therapist. Let's go there. I subscribe to BetterHelp. So this is news to both of you guys because I'm pretty sure neither of you guys know how BetterHelp works. BetterHelp is like Netflix.
Yeah.
You subscribe. And I think it was like, I don't know, $300-400 a month or something like that whenever I did it. So you pay up front and you get one weekly session for the month.
Okay.
And you also get like an online journal that your therapist can read. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty innovative. That's kind of interesting. So the very first session, you do not get to pick them. You fill out like a survey and they pick them. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I fill out the survey. I'm like, let's roll the dice, see who they give me. So they give me this person. I'm like, all right, this is therapist number one. Therapist number one, because I went through 4 of them in that month. Spoiler alert. I go into the first one and I wrote a nice like summary coming into that session. Like, here you go. Here's a really quick, what I want to work on. What's my presenting problem? And if they would have looked at it, it looks very much like clinical notes. Like I just set it up like, here, copy and paste this shit into your record.
Yeah.
This is all you need from me. I sit down with this person. Oh God. I remember just being like, wow, is this really happening? So I'm talking to this person. They're like, so what's going on? I start telling them what's going on. Start telling them about, what I'm looking for in therapy, what I think I would benefit from. They say, okay, that's not what you need. That's not what you benefit from. And I go, okay. And then they start criticizing me because I had said something like, and I didn't tell anybody that I was a therapist. When they asked what you do, I said, I work in healthcare. And they said, okay, cool. And they didn't really care. They didn't take it any further. But like, I said enough. I tried not to use big jargon because I didn't want them to guess that I was a therapist, but I also didn't want to hide that I have some awareness of what this is.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to, I wanted to be clear what I was looking for. I knew exactly what I was looking for.
You wanted to start at a level, and they wanted to start at the ground level.
Oh, worse than that, I said something to the effect of, I've looked at some of these things. I realize I've got some cognitive distortions here. I'm willing to work at that. She stops me. She goes, Jim, let me stop you right there. What you're talking about right now, that cognitive distortion stuff, I don't know where you heard that. That's called cognitive behavioral therapy. That's garbage. We don't do that here. And I'm like, okay.
Oh.
And she goes, we're going to talk about the soul, Jim.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, what? And she's like, we're going to start doing some shadow work, Jim. And I'm like, yeah, no, I know like what that is. Like,
this is when I need you to start like 3-weighing me in on the call.
So I'm like, okay. So she then proceeded to lecture me for 20 minutes of our hour on, and this is first session, the difference between Carl Jung, Freud, and cognitive behavioral therapy, and how the man has been profiting off of cognitive behavioral therapy and Aaron Beck, and evidence-based stuff is all pharmaceutical jargon and it's not real, and blah. And I'm like, I said one word. Like, I used the word cognitive while I was pouring out my heart to you.
Yeah, that's your fault.
And the problems that I am facing. And now we're doing a 20-minute spontaneous academic lecture. A fucking class in the first session.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That was therapist number 1. Therapist 2, 3
didn't stick with that one?
Pretty bad, too. Nope. Vetoed that one.
Did any of them reject you instead of the other way around?
Oh, hell no. No, it did not go that way. Therapist 3, I ended up seeing twice.
And I was really hopeful.
So therapist 3 was acceptable, and I saw therapist 3 for my 4th session, and at the end of that session she said, I really think you know a lot and you probably don't need therapy. And I was like, I think that knowing things doesn't disqualify you from needing therapy. I probably would like to do some work. She's like, I think you'll be fine.
Sometimes even when somebody knows something, it is nice to be reminded of like,
well, yeah,
this is, hey, you ought to try doing this.
Yeah, and therapy's not education, right? Because if it was, fuck this, go buy a book. Go watch YouTube. You'll be fine. It's just like a dentist can't, fucking drill their own cavities. Like they know
with that
how.
attitude.
Yeah, they know how. They can absolutely understand it, but
I'm positive they're a dentist that have
there's some badass who's done it.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen Tom Hanks in Castaway.
Right.
And, he did his own.
There you
go.
Yeah.
I know Chuck Norris has done it, and
Yeah.
he's not even a dentist.
That's true. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I understand M's position because when you're...
I've seen it in the documentary Castaway.
Yeah. So I've seen that dental movie, Castaway. Do it with a fucking ice skate. But no, I feel for you, M, because I was very discouraged. I was discouraged during my search. I was discouraged because a significant percentage of our field has gone in some directions that I do not have any faith in, and I don't want to be evangelized to. The whole time that I walk into the session, they can't wait to tell me about their fucking worldview, or why their theory is smart, or why I need to go on a fucking Peruvian ayahuasca trip, or whatever, when, like, I'm clearly telling them what I really just need is somebody to kind of, like...
He's not going to go back to L.A., people. He's certainly not going to Peru.
So I feel your pain, and I'll tell you that, for me, I never solved it. I will tell you that in our town, there are a handful of therapists that seem to, I'll bet you 50% or more of their caseload is other therapists, because they have developed the reputation. They are seen as, I think in some cases kind of elders, and they're very even-handed, and they have a knack for it. I would almost say at this point, having very discouragedly looked for my own helper, I think it's almost its own discipline at this point. If you're a therapist who can treat other therapists, I really think it's a speciality. I've done it. I've always it's always been a tricky wicket, right? Because, like, I'll talk to the other therapist and I'll say, look, I know what you do. You know the whole thing. What do you need from me? Tell me how I can help you, right? Like the same way I'd ask a dentist if I was the other dentist, like, you know your mouth, you know what I know. Tell me what you need from me. Okay, here's what I want you to check. Here's what I want you to do. These are the things I can't do for myself. Yeah, I want you to script me a bunch of drugs.
I can't prescribe myself laughing gas.
I want nitrous oxide all day. I want to Zoom. So yeah, like, that's the way I approach it. But it's hard to find, I think, another therapist that you can put that trust in.
Apparently, I just got lucky.
Yeah.
I must have gotten really fucking lucky. Because when I was looking for my therapist, she was the first one.
Wow.
I talked to.
Ugh.
I scheduled a session with her, and same thing where, right away in the beginning, like, I didn't want her to know what I did because I didn't want it to, and I wanted her to be her, just be a therapist and not have to try to be a therapist for another therapist.
Right. Just do your job.
Just do your thing.
Yeah.
But that didn't last long because she did a really good history.
She asked you what you did for a living?
Yeah.
She got a PI.
So, and she...
So what do you do for a living? I'm a... Fuck!
And so I once it got to that point, I kind of opened up about it, and she's like, oh, okay, great. She's like, I actually have a lot of therapists on my caseload.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, you lucked out.
And she was awesome. She was great. Like, she knew her role. She knew what she was supposed to do. She didn't think for a second like, oh, I can't do this, or she didn't have any qualms about working with another therapist. She also understood that knowing better doesn't necessarily mean that you do better.
Sure.
And she was great. She didn't have to. She just did her thing, and it was awesome.
Yeah, you lucked out.
I guess so. Now here's the other thing. I would challenge you, M, just a little bit. I'm going to push back lovingly. You said you've looked at several of them and they just weren't a good fit. I believe you, but then also I want to make sure that you're not excluding people. How do I say this?
Of color, you racist.
Yeah, that's not.
I'll say it for you, Nick.
No, but like,
I mean, M is a known drug.
I mean, I hope you're also not doing that, M.
Not just doing that. but not prematurely discarding people.
Yeah.
Because I do think
reading a book by its cover.
Yeah, because sometimes it is helpful to, obviously you can kind of read through someone's profile and you can say, yep, no, this one's definitely not a good fit. This one is talking a lot about some woo stuff that I'm not into. But sometimes it is good to just give somebody a chance.
Yeah. That's true.
Because like with my therapist, I gave her a chance, and maybe I lucked out and I just got a good one. But I think if I would have just spent all of my time reading through people's profiles, I'd probably still be looking for a therapist.
That's true.
Because in my mind, I'm thinking like, I got to find the perfect one.
Yes.
And I really don't. And in a lot of ways, I'll tell you, like I haven't gone through many therapists, but I've gone through a lot of golf coaches in the last several years. And,
which are kind of like therapists.
And some of them I really liked, some of them I didn't, but I learned something from all of them.
Sure.
Like every one of them contributed to some degree. I was able to take away pieces that were going to be helpful. I just sat down. I let other pieces that I didn't think were going to be helpful. I just kind of set that down and walked away from it.
Yeah.
But I was able to take something useful from each one of them. And I think with therapists too, sometimes you may have to just meet them, give them a chance, and some of them may surprise you.
It is
and also, like,
process.
To some degree, and now I'm not talking about the degree of your therapist story earlier, but to some degree, you got to do some work in this.
Yeah.
And like the therapist isn't going to be able to do everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I'm agreeing with Nick. So like
you got to show up.
Yeah, you got to show up and be ready to do that work too. And I think you probably are. But yeah, don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Yeah.
There you go.
There it is. I told you my tale
That's
of woe.
good. You should. I can't believe you just came up with
I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt.
A chapter of a book.
And if you hear anybody else say that,
they stole it from you.
It. Yes.
Yeah. Sue them. I told you my tale of woe, and do I regret it? No, I guess I got something out of it. I mean, I went to therapy 4 times in a month. I retold my intake story 3 separate times, and then the 4th time, which was when I saw third therapist for a second try, we terminated. So I would not say that I nailed it. Yeah, but I don't know. I got something out of it, I guess. I mean, I envisioned something different for myself. I'm glad I still tried it. I was surprised that one website could fail me 3 times. That was very quick in 1 month. But yeah, so I guess get out there and try it. Oh yeah, right. They were really quick to write that check.
Yeah.
I still get spam from them. And job offers. They're always trying to get me to recruit.
Are you cured yet? You want to come work?
How you doing? Hey, we're just reading over your file. Something about vulnerability and wanting to impress people. You come work for us. It'd be fine. We'll like you. We'll be your friend. Yeah, so good luck with this, Em. I mean, it is a really hard thing in the field. But, 2 stories of 2 therapists trying to see their own therapist. Nick hit a home run. I struck out. You don't know until you try, but ultimately Jacob's wisdom prevails. Don't let perfect be the enemy of better, Yeah, take that first step. So
yep.
Good luck. Let us know how that turns out. Or another thing, just find a therapist somewhere in the world that you know and respect and contact them. Because honestly, I've done that. Like, I've talked to people that are not in my state, and I'll be like, hey, I realize that I cannot be your official patient. I'm, out of state, but where are you at with bending the rules for somebody that's in the game? And like, sometimes they'll be like, yeah, fuck the rules. Like, we're both, in the same place. We both know each other or whatever. It's cool. I'll work with you.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, getting an internal referral.
Oh yeah. From a
friend. A therapist that's a friend. Ask them, so you may be tangentially connected, but you don't actually know each other.
Yes. That helps.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because you can keep those walls up. Anyway, good luck.
Man, we could have just answered that question like 45 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Could have just said that.
Yeah, we could have.
That was a good answer,
But
guys.
I had stories to tell. We got to get through the stories. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about persistent, intrusive thoughts. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Jake Schneider, Judy Schneider, Leon Kassab, Carolyn Albert, Sammy Scoop, Sarah Smith, Mike Helm, Darren Cunningham, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, and Mrs. Hot Dog Scoop.
Mrs.
Would you like to sponsor the show? Become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. Because the University of Iowa women's basketball had their game, and while I was writing trivia, here we are.
Here we are. UNLV busted, by the way.
I think I'm in first place in our NCAA women's bracket right now.
I am deep.
Notable University of Iowa alum.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. You got to buzz in.
Buzz.
Corn.
Okay, so it's just the two of you.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, let's do that.
Just the two of you. And actually, because Whitney's not here, I don't think you guys are going to get this one.
Okay.
This U of I alum is an actor and filmmaker. Appeared in Get Him to the Greek, No Strings Attached, and 21 Jump Street. But is probably best known.
Oh, I forgot we had to buzz in.
No.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay.
But is probably best known by his acting alongside Zooey Deschanel in New Girl.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, one of those people?
Buzz again? Can I have a rebound buzz?
Fine.
Jack Johnson.
No.
That's negative 2
Jake
points for
Johnson.
Jim.
Oh.
Jake Johnson.
Oh, sorry. You've already buzzed in twice.
Shit.
Jacob, would you like to try?
Buzz.
Yes.
Jake Johnson?
Oh, points.
Oh, 1 point to negative 2.
All right.
Wow. This is SAT rules, huh?
One more. This 1951 and 52 U of I grad is a psychologist and known as the father of social learning theory.
Oh, no, I don't know.
Social learning theory. Is it Badura?
It is.
Yay!
I believe I buzzed in.
Thank you. Fuck.
You're right.
Is it Badura?
Yeah. Bandura is what you're
damn
saying.
That's what I said,
All right.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, don't be an idiot. Of course it was Bandura.
Albert Bandura.
Whatever. Fuck this game.
I call him Al.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Around campus, we just called him Big Al.
You can call me Bandura, but all my friends just call me. They can call me Al.
Persistent intrusive thoughts from Anonymous. Hello, friends. I've always dealt with intrusive thoughts, and although often disturbing, I can kind of wave them away. More recently, the intrusive thoughts around suicide are becoming more and more pervasive. At first, I thought this might just be your standard intrusive thoughts, but it seems to be getting more solidified. Meaning, they went from, oh, it might be easier if I just wasn't alive to deal with this, to, oh, I could do it this way, and then this will happen. I don't think I'm suicidal, but I'm becoming more and more concerned. I guess my question is, when is an intrusive thought more than an intrusive thought? Thanks for your help, Anonymous.
Anonymous.
Dun, 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 dun. Phenomena.
So that is something that I think, we're seeing a change in some of these thoughts, right?
Yeah.
So even though you're not necessarily suicidal, I think the change that you're noticing is worth paying attention to.
It's definitely more annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's more stress associated with it. But you are not suicidal. That does not sound like suicide to me at all.
Yeah. I mean, I do get sometimes, and we've even had people write in about this too, where it's like intrusive thoughts becoming not necessarily more intense, but like more detailed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like you actually kind of start imagining things. And it's not like your motive changes or you're closer to the edge.
No, not at all. It's still just
but
as
it's just
distressing.
It's almost kind of like, it's like you're kind of imagining it a little bit more. There's more of a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just evolving over time.
Yeah.
That's totally expected. I've worked with a lot of folks over the years that have this profile of intrusive thought. And again, plug for a great book, Overcoming Unwanted and Intrusive Thoughts. It's just a classic, very easy book. It's on audiobook. Get it. If you are out there, writer, you should pick this book up.
Also, dad advice.
Yeah. Fatherly advice. What was it from our Heavenly Father?
Yeah.
Both of you. So great book. As well as
I like
dad
that you
advice.
got wrapped up into that too, Nick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It was him. His asshole's the one that bought it for me. Anyway. But yes.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. That was a Christmas gift. I still have it, by the way. I tried to throw it away. And my wife was like, no, this is staying. It's on like the bookshelf.
Well
it's
done.
ridiculous. So, okay. Intrusive thoughts. What are they? So these are these nagging, anxious ideas They are unwanted. They are involuntary, very important. And they don't say anything about you, except perhaps they reveal what you are really afraid of happening. So they kind of reveal an antithesis to your character. They are not who you are. They are not what you value. That's why they frighten you. They are the exact opposite of what you are, what you would do. So a type of intrusive thought is this self-harm or suicidal intrusive thought, or sometimes health intrusive thoughts. And it's the idea of like, what if I kill myself? What if this thing is stressful? What if I just throw myself in front of this car? And they go, oh my God, I just had a thought of throwing myself in front of this car. Am I suicidal? Would I really do that? And then the intrusive thought takes the shape of this fear of like, could I just involuntarily do something dangerous? Like, do I truly feel safe? And I think to some extent, all humans can relate to this, even if they're not plagued with it. If you've ever gone to the top of the Empire State Building or a very tall building in your community, if you've ever gone to the edge of the Grand Canyon and you've had that thought of like, I could just jump in, and you almost feel this sudden like gravity tug or this like urge. And then if you're feeling that, you could feel terrified by that and be like, oh my gosh, I'm not so much scared of the dying. I'm scared that I felt like I would do it. What's wrong with me? Why would I do that? Am I crazy? Would I just snap? Am I capable of it? No, you're none of those things. You're not capable of it. That is an intrusive thought. Where the writer's coming from, these intrusive thoughts happen. And when people have these, what we might call suicidal or self-harm intrusive thoughts, it's always really hard for them because, especially in therapy, they will ask, hey, I'm having this thought. Does that mean I am a suicidal person? I am having thoughts of killing myself.
I think this is where the word ideology does a disservice in the label suicide ideology.
Yeah.
Suicidal ideology.
Ideation, yeah. Yeah, it absolutely does.
Oh, ideation.
Right.
I thought it was, I've always been told ideology. That's wrong?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
great.
ideation.
Okay,
you're
in the book
absolutely
it's
right.
ideation, yeah.
Because you hear it as ideation and you think, I ideated.
That's it. That's
Right?
it, exactly.
Yeah, light bulb came on. I'm it, right?
Yeah.
That was the image that came on the screen. But no, and if what's interesting is if you crack open the DSM-5 TR, the psychology Bible.
I do all the time.
Which you do, when you're taking a shit.
Yep.
You flip over to the depression chapter.
I really want to just have one of those on the back
I know,
of my
we
toilet
really
now.
should just give him one.
Yeah, I would
carve out a bottle
next
of
time
whiskey
I'm
spot.
over at your house.
Yeah.
I'll just put it in the guest
To
bathroom.
see the DSM.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, what a flex
The
that would
ASAM
be.
criteria.
If he just saved that for
Yeah.
when there's another house party, he knows
Yeah.
we're coming,
Yeah.
and just puts it right on the shitter, just like it's right there on the toilet.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a flex!
I mean, if you get me one, I bet it'll be there.
yeah, pry mine out of my cold
How much?
dead hands.
How much am I willing to spend on a joke?
$190.
Yeah.
That's iPad territory. I'm
Yep.
good. But no, if you go to the DSM-5 and you go to the depression chapter and you go through the criteria, which I don't recommend, but there is a specific area where they say none of this applies if your thoughts of death frighten you.
Yeah.
Because suicidal ideation, real suicidal thoughts, you're not sitting there going, oh shit, what if I died? That would be terrible. That sounds like somebody who doesn't want to die. Yeah. Like that's not suicidal thinking.
Your example earlier, you're standing on a bridge or standing at the lip of the Grand Canyon. Both places I've been on bridges. I've been at the Grand Canyon, and I don't have so much of the suicidal intrusive thoughts, but I have the what if I just tumbled down?
Right.
Yeah, I have that all the time.
What if I just fell? And I really start picturing myself, and I start like looking at things in the ground, like at the Grand Canyon. I'm like, oh yeah, I'd roll into that. That would hurt a lot, and I'd hit that, and that would kill me. And like, and I do go through all of that, and I have to kind of snap out of it.
Right.
I have to be like, oh, I'm getting a bit of a funk here.
Yeah.
This is a weird little loop my brain just
shake
went
it
along.
off for a second.
Yeah.
You're like that's not.
I do the same thing. I don't do, like I say, I don't do the suicidal stuff with it, but I do violence towards other people.
What if I just hit this guy with my truck?
That's it.
Yeah.
Or it's like
I
I'm
walk
standing
in,
next to this
hit
person,
him.
especially somebody who's weaker than me, who is physically weaker than me. Like that kind of triggers it for me.
Just smash this guy's face
Yeah.
into the table.
So like I'll be standing next to Jim, and I'll be like, "What if I just punch Jim
Is
in
that
the
why
face
you
as
just
hard as
stare
I
at me
can?"
sometimes?
Yeah.
Like, that's what you're doing.
When it's with you, I don't even try to shake it off.
Yeah, no,
I just revel in
Well,
it.
you also say it out loud. Yeah. It's very off-putting.
To myself.
It just says it out loud.
What if I
really
just punched
loud?
Jim right in the face? Just
Other
as
people are
hard
like,
as I could.
Who's that guy just staring at that other guy?
Like I bet I could really fuck up his eye socket with
narrating
a single
how
punch.
he's going to kill him.
Yeah.
Bill Burr did a bit like that where he was
that's right.
He was at like a farmer's market.
Yeah.
And there's some lady selling muffins, and he just had this urge to just like punch the muffins and just start smashing. And then he started thinking like, how many of these could I smash before somebody did something? Yeah, because he's like, the first 4 people will be like, oh, maybe something's wrong. I don't know. Right. And then like there'd be so much confusion. Then he's like, I bet I could have this table before anybody did that.
Yeah.
But you could fuck up a lot of muffins.
Yeah. So intrusive thoughts, very common. They have lots of different types. Over the years, I've treated people who had the thought of, what if I stab my dog? What if I hurt my child? What if I'm going to hurt myself? What if I randomly do something sexual? Like, oh no, am I having sexual thoughts about another person? Does that make me this or that? Does that make me gay? Or like, does this or that? There's all types of intrusive thoughts.
Just to be clear, having sexual thoughts about another person does make you gay.
I guess that's the one.
Any sexual thoughts about anyone makes you gay.
Yeah, regardless. It doesn't matter who that person was. Just you're automatically gay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like all of these things, again, to circle back on what these are, they are intrusive, unwanted, involuntary. They depict scenes and concepts that you do not relate to and would never do. Thoughts are also not things. You cannot be forced compulsively and automatically to do these things merely because you thought them. They are kind of like spam. And whenever you click an ad for jeans on Instagram, the next 20 fucking ads you see on every goddamn platform, including in your Gmail, is going to be for fucking jeans. And that's how intrusive thoughts work. You kind of click the thought and the brain just opens the cookies, and now you're going to bump into that thought 35 more times today, and that will drive it in, and you'll think, oh my God, it must be real because I am thinking it all the time. And that's the unfortunate reality of intrusive thoughts. So the way that we unwind that sticky nature is slowly, methodically, challenging them when they come, radically accepting them when they come, telling ourselves the truth, educating ourselves about what they are, and disbelieving the implicit message of the thought that you're going to hurt yourself. It's not true. That's not who you are. You do not have depression. You do not have suicidal ideation. On this show, you've heard us talk about the baseball diamond of suicidal ideation. You're not even on the baseball diamond. You're on a basketball court shooting free throws. You're not on this field at all. This is not your game because you are not depressed. You are not on that baseball diamond at all. The only thing you have in common with them is a ball. That is it. So that is not something that relates to you at all. And it's very important that you find a way to remind yourself of that, whether that's affirmations, messages, recording my voice saying the last 30 seconds and replaying that over and over when you need to. Having that message to yourself can sometimes disrupt that intrusive thought. And it's important that you know that even the fact that it's crystallizing a little bit and getting more refined, totally normal. Again, think of the spam metaphor. You clicked on an ambiguous ad for jeans, and now these ads are getting better and better and better. And you're like, weird. This thing is like 3D imaging jeans at me now. What the fuck? That doesn't mean that you really want the jeans. They're just crystallizing because you've clicked on that ad a bunch.
Could I just clarify, though, that we don't know that Anonymous is not depressed.
Oh, true. They didn't say that.
That's right.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
So,
yeah, they may also.
If you're seeing a therapist for depression, I don't want you to tell the therapist that Pod Therapy said that you're not depressed.
Yeah, fair. Fair point. But yeah, if all you are experiencing is the intrusive thoughts of this nature and they frighten you, by the DSM-5's definition under depression, you do not qualify. And I find that a lot of people I know that are dealing with this particular problem usually will tell me that's very reassuring to just realize, okay, so I'm not going to push somebody off the Grand Canyon. I'm not a homicidal maniac. No, you're not. That's an intrusive thought. It doesn't resonate with you. It's not something you want. It's something that frightens you to think about, but it's a sticky, unwanted thought. It just happens. So don't take it seriously, writer. But yeah, I mean, just the fact that these are crystallizing does not mean that they are becoming more real. It doesn't mean that you are in any more danger. You are not in danger as far as I can tell. But I hope that you'll pick up that book. I hope that you'll continue to do that work because a lot of people find relief from these symptoms and even go into remission entirely, where they just don't really have them, or when they do, they kind of have a ritual to just kind of let that go and just kind of, do something that helps them process it or ignore it or distract themselves until the thought goes away. And the less that they click on the ad, the less cookies there are in the system, and the less often that thought gets reinforced, and therefore the less they actually have it.
There you go.
It's a process. Check out that book, Overcoming Unwanted and Intrusive Thoughts. I always forget the doctor's name. I always say Cloud. and then it turns out to be somebody else. So just Google the book.
Rainbow. That's what it is.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about mental health first aid. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Jake Schneider, Judy Schneider, Leon Kassab, Carolyn Albert, Sammy Scoop, Sarah Smith, Mike Helm, Darren Cunningham, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, and Mrs. Hot Dog Scoop. And if you would like to sponsor the show, become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. All right. Although this well-known journalist dropped out after only 1 year because of majoring in his words, beer and co-eds, he was awarded an honorary doctorate in 2010, 7 years after vacating the anchor chair on the nightly news.
Oh.
Buzz?
Oh, shit.
Dan Rather.
No, it's that
Is it the
Pierce
other one?
Brosnan-looking dude who said that he was under sniper fire or some bullshit. Brian Williams. Buzz Brian Williams.
No.
Shit.
Is it Cronkite?
No.
It was 7 years before 2010.
Tom Brokaw.
Brokaw. There you go.
Really?
Yes,
he's
yes,
older
yes,
than I
yes,
would have
yes.
expected for that one.
All right. This communications and theater arts major graduated from the U of I in 1955, long before his work with Oompa Loompas.
What, Buzz?
Fuck.
Gene Wilder?
Yes.
Damn
All right.
it.
There you go. Good job.
Damn it.
I got one more. I'll just do it right now.
Do it.
This actor/comedian studied business administration and writing at the U of I, but is most well known for having been married to Roseanne Barr.
Oh, shit. What's his name?
Oh, geez.
Buzz. Tom Arnold.
Yes.
Wow. So
Dominated.
Yeah.
he dunked on me.
You are an honorary Iowan.
Yes.
You are
An
lesser.
honorary Hawkeye.
Yeah, I don't
Somebody
think
get me some corn.
Well, I was going to say John Goodman to that last one. That was
Yep.
going to be my answer.
Close, but
He
no.
wasn't. He never actually married her. They were
Right.
married on a TV show.
Yep.
Which isn't real. It turns out.
Okay.
Don't ruin it for him.
Although Tom Arnold did pop up on that show from time to time.
Yeah.
Did
he?
he?
Was on there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was on there.
Was Tom Arnold in True Lies with Arnold
Yes.
Schwarzenegger? That's Tom Arnold?
Yeah.
Tom Arnold was killed?
What?
Did he die?
No.
In the movie?
No, in real life.
No.
No.
Oh. I thought there was like a famous comedian who died and was married to Roseanne Barr. Was it Paul Hartman?
Phil Hartman.
Phil Hartman.
Did he
And
die?
He was not.
Yes.
He did die, but he was not married to Roseanne Barr.
Did Roseanne kill him?
His wife killed him.
That's where I'm at. That was it. I didn't know it was not Roseanne, but
Yeah.
I knew that his wife had killed him.
So weird. How did you make
Yeah.
this?
Roseanne
Dude, I
is-
don't know how these neurons hold information.
Roseanne
They're
has only
all
killed
adjacent.
people's careers
Yeah.
as far as we know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where they get it. They store it in a very weird algorithm. I don't know how these things are connected.
It's weird, but like and it also frustrates me to know that I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. We've been friends too long. Yeah. There's been many times that you've been the gym whisperer. And everybody else is like, what the fuck? You're like, hold on. Shake it sideways.
I know
It'll
this.
fall out.
Yeah.
I think I know where he's going with this. Mental Health First Aid by Syncytium. What concepts, tools, or advice should the average person have in their back pocket to share with their friends and family who are experiencing mental health challenges? For regular first aid, we think of things like CPR, splints for broken bones, or methods to stop the bleed, which are all things an average person can do to stabilize a bad situation before professional help arrives. There are also things like ibuprofen, Band-Aids, and ice packs for less serious situations that you can handle on your own. What are the mental health first aid equivalents to situations like these, where professionals' help may not be immediately available, or where the problem seems too small to warrant getting a therapist, talking to your doctor, or even going to an emergency room? I'm thinking of situations where a friend seems depressed, or someone is using substances to deal with insomnia, or a family member on the side of the road calls me because they had a panic attack, and my name is at the top of their contacts list. I've been listening to Pod Therapy since your first Reddit AMA, and I've gained so much insight to help with my own problems. But sometimes it's hard to recall your advice for these other problems that don't apply to me. Thanks so much, Syncytium.
Awesome. Well, it's
This is
good
a
to know
good
that
question.
Reddit is useful for some things.
Yeah, I missed that website. That was fun. Really enjoyed that.
Does this mean we can never do Reddit AMAs
No,
anymore?
don't worry. I didn't use the Pod Therapy account.
Okay.
Yeah, I used my own account, which is now banned.
All right.
So
fair enough.
I actually considered getting back on with the Pod Therapy account.
Oh, God.
Hey, you'll be proud of me. I took a deep breath. I slowed down and I was like, Jim, don't do this. You've already crashed one car today. Do not crawl into the next one and just hit the gas. Don't do it. So I'd be very proud. I kept us private.
I'm very proud. So mental health first aid, first off, that is a trademarked program, right?
Isn't that so annoying?
Yeah. So
they own the registered trademark.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna call it
Australian company.
Yeah, mental health first aid. Let's call it
psychological first aid is also trademarked.
How about mental fits personal aid? There we go. Mental fit personal aid.
You know what? Why don't we just call it training? You know.
How about just to intervene? Here's the thing. Because it doesn't really matter. Yeah. But I do think this would actually make a really good deep dive.
Oh, that is a good idea.
I'll give this one to you.
Oh no,
because I've got a list of
I got a bunch of them.
I do too now. I had a lot of people write in.
Okay, good.
No, I had a lot of people write in with suggestions. And they're all really good.
What's your favorite color?
Yeah, that's 20 minutes right there. No, but I do think this would be a really good one to kind of go into, like some do's and don'ts, and I can think of right off the bat, some do's. I would say number one is the thing that I always go back to all the time, which is your default is to be a cheerleader. Yeah. Just to be supportive, to just be somebody that they can express something to without fear of judgment. Yeah. And you can just be there and say, hey, I'm here for you. What do you need me to do? Or, you know what, I can just listen. That's your default position. Being somebody that can be kind of a case manager or a referral source, like help them out, help connect them with somebody, saying I really need to see a therapist, but I'm really struggling with this. All right, well, hey, can I help you with that? Can we sit down at the computer and let's go to Psychology Today, and let's see who we have in our area. Right. Just to be somebody who can be a resource like that. Navigating. Yeah, that's another really good, quick, easy thing that you can do. Some don'ts that I can think of, the first one that I thought of is something like, don't try to minimize what they're feeling or what they're going through. Yeah, very important. And I do think people have I think their heart is in the right place when they do this. I think they're genuinely trying to help, but that's not always going to be perceived that way by the person. Right. To be able to say if somebody is feeling depressed, it may feel easy to just say, hey, look, your life isn't so bad. You've got this, and this going for you. And that does sound like, hey, that's a great thing. But that person may be interpreting that as, dismissive. You're right, I do have all of this stuff, so what the fuck is wrong with me? Sure. Right? Yeah. And so you're kind of reinforcing this feeling like, I feel helpless, that I feel this way, and now this person is pointing out that I shouldn't be feeling this way. I must be wrong. So, and you're kind of digging that hole a little bit. So I think the easiest thing to do in that situation is to just hear them. Don't try to fix it for them, but to just empathize. Yeah. And to just be there and say, hey, well, I'm willing to help with this. I want to be there. And then we can kind of start talking about solutions. Yeah. And not try to change it and try to make them feel better necessarily.
I think that's huge. So what's interesting is this week I'm doing basically this talk. It's a mental health first aid talk for youth. We're doing a Boy Scouts thing. And so I'm really excited for it. We actually told all the parents and families, hey, you can come. The kids are going to go into a classroom, and the UNLV graduate students are going to walk them through grounding techniques, just kind of like emotional regulation, light stuff, nothing, big and scary, just teaching kids how to hey, when you're feeling big things, here are some tricks to kind of even yourself out and calm down. And then meanwhile, I'm going to be meeting with all the adults and the families, going over common adolescent mental illness stuff, how to get help, and also mental health first aid. So the mental health first aid that I want people to know really aligns with everything Nick just said. I mean, number one, I want people to know de-escalation skills. That's the first most important thing. How do you encounter somebody who's in an elevated state? Because if you're talking first aid, that's usually what it is, right? Like in any kind of physical situation, they have been wounded, they are harmed, they are frightened, they are bleeding. Well, in a mental emotional context, they're not losing blood, but they're usually a very elevated person right now. Even if that is depression based and you don't think of that as elevated or panicky, the situation feels acute, it feels urgent. So de-escalation skills are huge. And some of those skills Nick already talked about, learning to reassure somebody, be present with somebody, receiving what they're telling you without being dismissive or too quick to counter them. We've talked on the show about the 3 A's of assertive communication. I like that as a de-escalation formula, starting with aligning with somebody. I think you're feeling this. Is this what you're going through? And really striving for accuracy so they feel seen. Then moving into alignment. I relate to you. I understand what you're feeling. I think that I felt like a similar way. You're not crazy for feeling that way. And then the 3rd A is asserting truth. But the truth is, you're safe. We're going to get through this. It's not as scary as you think it is right now, but I totally get where you're coming from. And soon I think this will pass. So those are like a quick little formula that we can use to de-escalate. Giving somebody like safe space. What's interesting is in my prep for the mental health first aid training, I Googled handouts on de-escalation skills. The government actually publishes a really helpful PDF that I think comes from NIM. And I probably should grab it and link it into the episode. So if I remember to do it, pop this episode's description open in your podcast app, and I'll probably have remembered to link to it. But yeah,
if he doesn't, send him a message and he'll do it then.
I'll just do it then. Just ping me on whatever. And if you come to the Discord, we'll have it ready. But yeah, it was a really helpful 1-pager document. And just had lots of tips and advice on de-escalation skills and basically aligned with everything we just said. And also talked about things like creating a safe space, being mindful of body language, being mindful of tone, being steady and in the way that you're encountering the person, making sure that you check yourself so that you don't seem escalated, which is, by the way, a very difficult skill to master. I remember a situation where in a program that Nick and I once ran, we had a gentleman going through a psychotic episode kind of in the evening time, holed up in his apartment with a knife, and the cops had been called, and so there was like a squad there about to go in hard. We got ahead of them, though, and told them about the situation, and they were very kind and very well educated. And, they said, okay, the therapist is literally here. He knows this guy. Let's have Jim go in first, and let's see if we can calm this shit down so we don't have to hurt this dude. And I walked in and was very mindful of my body language. Like, here's this guy, he's having an episode. He's rigid as a statue. He's got this knife held up. His eyes are wide. He looks like he's seen a ghost. He's so scared. And my body language was communicating to him that there was nothing to fear. I walked in like I've been in his apartment a million times. I sat down on his recliner. I talked to him about what's going on TV, turned my, back to him in a sense, in a very, strategic way of showing him I'm not squaring up with you. I'm just a guest in your home. Hey, do you mind if I get a glass of water? Would you mind if I get a cup? I'm going to walk over here right now, narrating what I'm doing. But obviously, that's a very intense situation. But the handout talks about that.
I'm just reaching for my taser gun. Bam, got you,
you idiot. You brought Nerf guns. So yeah, just, de-escalation skills has a lot to do with, I think, presence and what you're choosing to say and how you're bringing a person down. That's one set of skills I'd want as mental health first aid. Another would be just the common skills of active listening, learning how to be present, because sometimes they're not elevated, but you just want to attend to them. You want to feel like you did something for them rather than just saying, oh, it sounds like you're having a bad time, you should see a therapist. So active listening skills, really getting in there, creating an acceptance, creating a non-judgmental posture, being curious about somebody, not acting like but acting like what they're going through can be normalized. I think there's also a touch of reassurance to that and encouragement to that, being a little bit solution focused and telling them, hey, I'm really proud of you. You're being resilient right now. Thanking them for things like, thank you for sharing your truth. Thank you for being brave. I hope you'll do more of this. The world wants to hear from you. We want to hear from you. We care about you. And just finding those right tones. So there's a really good active listening worksheet you can download from Therapist Worksheets. You could just Google that phrase. They have a really great page that I'm giving out to the families at my mental health first aid training those are the two sets of skills that I'd be most interested in. And then the third is what Nick said, having some basic knowledge of healthcare navigation, maybe from our show, maybe from your own background, or just taking the time to look up stuff in your neighborhood, knowing the suicide hotline, knowing, the basics of how to begin a search for somebody that could help, just so you could kind of put that in their pocket or say, hey man, would it be okay if tomorrow I texted or emailed you with some suggestions? I happen to know a little bit about this. I keep my ear to the ground. Would that be okay? And just giving somebody that first step in the right direction. And again, I know your question said, like, what if they don't need professional help? Like, okay, but sometimes just getting them resources to look at sometimes helps orient them to the situation as well.
Yeah. Well, I hope that was helpful.
It's a really good question.
Yeah.
That really would be a good deep dive.
Yeah.
All right, as we wrap up the show, oh God, okay, quick disclaimer. As we wrap up the show, I want to remind you to go to patreon.com/therapy. And if you are at the $5 level or higher, you can now get all of the Patreon content. For the last year, I did not know that I was publishing my Patreon content to everybody. So everybody was getting all of the shit that is reserved for the Therapod tier and higher this whole year.
That's right. You benefit from our stupidity. So.
My stupidity. Nick did it right. I don't know how buttons work, but I fixed it. So all you freeloading Therapals that have been sitting here enjoying the fact that I've been fucking up for a year and all of you kept silent, there are hundreds of you and you all sat there quietly just getting this into your feed. I'm impressed. I'm honestly impressed. But the free ride's over, baby. Time for you all to bump up to Therapods so you can access that extra content. Comes out every week. We do deep dives, skill shares, research roundups, and rants. And this week, as of this taping, mine is on a question from the Reddit Ask a Therapist community about somebody that has a crush on their therapist and wrote them an email to tell them how they feel. So kind of dissect that one. Talk about how therapists definitely want you to tell them how into them you are.
Patreon.com/therapy. Go sign up at the $5 level. That will get you everything you want. It will really just fix your life.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We promise
and
results.
If you don't want to have to pay that $5 every month, you can go on there and sign up for a year-long membership.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it'll bring it down to something like $3 when it's all said.
No. The percentage only comes out the one time out of the I guess it's a different percentage or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I think it ends up benefiting everyone to do the yearly subscription.
There you go. We should pitch that more often. Announcements. What are the March Madness standings, gentlemen? I think it's time that we crack this bitch open because it is looking good for a certain someone.
Let's see here. Pod Therapy,
Jim.
Women's NCAA basketball tournament is the first one that pops up on my list.
I've got the men's list.
Looks like I am in first place on that. Jim is currently in third place on that.
A respectable third, seeing as how my bracket's busted.
Yeah, you're not going to sit there for very long.
No, I'm going downhill.
Yeah. Let's see. Where's Nick on that one?
I think
Nick is at 12th right now.
Yes.
And I don't think Whitney's even on that one. I'll bet you she didn't submit one.
Whitney.
So
She
sexist.
Did not make
on the men's bracket right now in a commanding first place is Leon Kassab, who has Duke going, and it's going to be real hard to catch him. He is way from the herd.
Yeah, he has 11 points on Smitty in second place.
Smitty in second, Thunder Cougar, Falcon Scoop in third, respectable Felicia Butler in fourth. She does well every year.
She does.
Nathan Christensen,
although she has South Carolina winning the whole thing, so she's going to fall down out of that fourth spot.
Yep, Hot Dog Scoop is in number 5. Jake Schneider with a respectable 6th.
Mine says Jake S. I thought that was me.
Yeah, that's definitely not you.
I think that's me.
Literally don't go as Jake.
Yep.
And I don't think so.
When it comes to basketball brackets.
You definitely didn't pick Purdue either. I don't think that's you.
Pick Purdue.
But number 7, Jim Jobin, first among the hosts with UConn. And it takes a minute to get to the next host, which I believe is that Jacob Smith guy in 15th place.
Oh, yeah. 15th.
Like a schmuck. Fighting for 17th place is Nick Tangeman.
Maximum points. I can max out at 210. Jim can max out at 243.
Yeah. I'm getting away.
But here's the thing.
Last is all that matters.
Yeah, first doesn't really make a difference.
Nope.
Last makes a
difference.
I
don't get more sushi for getting first. And Whitney is in 20th place.
I got 7 out of out of my Elite 8 teams, 7 of them are still in it.
That's really good.
Your max points is higher than my max points.
You're
right
not
now.
disqualified. I'm ahead of you guys in the herd, but both of you have points that can reach me. Whitney is in 20th place with a max of 206 possible. She is not out of the game yet.
No.
But she's fading.
Nobody's out of the running
real
yet.
fast. And in dead last in our league, Slurpee Kaye motherfucker with 130.
Who picked? I don't even know who that school is. Who did they pick to win?
It has a hat as the. I'm clicking it now.
Stetson.
Huh? Who
They
are
picked
eliminated?
A 16 seed.
Yes, that's classic.
They got eliminated by UConn in the first round.
His final 4 are all the 16 seeds.
Yeah, that's great.
He went for the complete upset bracket. And it shows.
I like it.
Yep. So we will give you those updates because we know that's why you tune into the show.
I don't think they even have.
No, Slurpee doesn't have anybody left.
Yeah. He's been fully eliminated.
Yeah.
His whole bracket is
gone. That's impressive.
That is hard to do. Honestly, that should be its own game.
I
try
agree.
to be the first eliminated and the lowest points. That is very impressive.
Slurpee, I think Jim owes you sushi.
I think that's how that works.
I think whoever wins the Pod Therapy League owes that person sushi.
Last person sushi. Well, also for his commanding performance in the fantasy football league.
And I think only if they get all of it wrong.
Yeah, that's the other move.
Yeah,
it's kind of like going nil in bridge.
That's
like you're just going all out, throw it away.
I was going to bring in the brackets for our Hey Buddy Nice podcast.
I've got mine.
Jacob has one.
Yeah, I didn't bring mine in.
I don't know what mine has on it.
I thought you saved
totaled them up.
I didn't know I needed to keep that.
I've got all of them.
Okay,
I've got
good.
a copy of them at home.
And the Hey Buddy crew, like they're going to tally everything and tell us who won.
I'm sure they will just tell us what happened.
They absolutely will not.
Yeah.
Oh, they won't?
That's on them.
They absolutely will not.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not doing their work.
I'm not doing that shit.
It's definitely on me because
okay.
I'm gonna have to come up with a points system. I'm gonna wait until we're done and then I'll come up with a point system that will benefit me.
Speaking
greatly.
of which, who's our new therapal there, Nick?
Wayne Giovinazzi.
That feels right. He's very Italian, that guy. You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Always talks like this.
Yes, all right, the pizza pie. I put another shrimp on the barbie. That's what he sounds like. And we got some new theropods. Welcome Jacob Hurt, Anna Ivanovich. Do you think I can do that? Can I say Ivanovich or is it Ivanovic?
I think when it's just the C, I think it's Ivanovic.
Yeah. Okay. Then when CH is Ivanovich?
I believe so.
I don't know. I think the Russians just end with a C. And Persephone Hazard. Welcome to the Theropods community, Persephone. Also, all of you Theropals who are pissed off that I figured out that you've been scamming all the free Patreon content, you can thank Persephone. She's the one that figured it out. She upgraded and she's like, weird.
I think it's very telling that your fuck up is described as them freeloading.
That's what it is. Yeah, yeah. The cabal of secrecy that they formed, that not one of them snitched
nice deflection.
For a year.
Yeah. Nice deflection of your own mistake.
I want you all to know, everybody underneath that $5 tier, I want you all to know I harbor no ill will against you at all.
I don't either.
Jim's an idiot.
Yeah, no, that's true. And we'd like to thank the benevolent, revered, generous, and flagrantly pro-therapy diehards who love your father's dick has been so much that they give till it hurts. The Therapartners, thank you, Dirty B, and Myra, and Pickett. And we want to thank our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, the Theraproducers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie Jr., Mitz, Spitty Scoop, Ben Dawn, Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Mrs. and Mr. Hot Dog Scoop, Malia Leon Kassab, Mason Miller, Richard Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley, Slap in Your Face, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, University Jeff, Mike Helm, Paris, Samantha Cohn, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder Cougar, Falcon Scoop, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, Heyo, Oscar Swanrose, A Sunny Boy, Slurpee Kaye, motherfucker, Sandra McWaffle, Dan Martin, and Hannah Marie. And a reminder, you can go to scoopfest.com. You can buy tickets to come hang out with all of us in fabulous Las Vegas in May. There are people on the Discord asking about that. Reminder, scoopfest.com. Get those tickets early and often for the
May
life you
9th,
save
10th,
to be
and
your
11th.
own. Yes.
And if you would like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
And why wouldn't you?
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy, and thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we got for this week's session. I want to thank our landlords, Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream Social Podcast, and thanks to those of you who contributed to our show today. We really appreciate it. Remember, Pod Therapy isn't something to keep all to yourself. Share the episode with the world. Tag us on the socials when you do. It's at PodTherapyGuys on Facebook, Twitter, and other things, /PodTherapy sometimes. I don't know. Go to patreon.com/therapy for all the extra goodies. Give us $5 or more and you can access it all.
You want to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Whitney.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
They call me War Crime Whitney.
Do they?
At the University of Arkansas.
All right.
Where the hell she's from.